Welcome there now to this, aftermarket round of BlizzCon 2021. Yeah, hey there, hosers. Yeah, so what I need you to do is grab a beer and strip off some layers. We got some exciting announcements for you, don't ya know? We announced today, this weekend, that one of the new characters we're excited to announce in Overwatch 2 is Sojourn, our first Canadian hero. We're really excited about her, yeah, for sure. She has, a slick look, a rail gun that's pretty nifty, and she's, fires at high velocities, and that's all well and good. But now we're going to get into her special moves, which we didn't get into in the main thing. So here's her first two special moves at the launch. Is what we're gonna do is she'll push the button and she'll throw a plate of poutine at her enemies and cause splash damage to all of those within range. It's a very vicious attack. There's gonna be special skins later made available that will turn the poutine into bags of milk for the the true Canadian experience up there. Her second special is a short-range cone effect, in which she throws a steaming hot Timmy Hortons best blend on her enemies, causing heat damage over time. It's fantastic. And, aside from all this, after every kill, she'll apologize profusely multiple times over her downed foes. And, you really gotta feel it. And then if you're really feeling generous and you got the ultimate ability up, she resurrects the enemies she just downed, helps get them back up on their feet, brushes off them a little bit, gets the snow out of them, and they're getting ready to go right back into the fight. Well, Canada rings in the background. It's really neat. We are really excited for all of this. So welcome Sojourn to the list of heroes in Overwatch 2. And, stay tuned for more information and gameplay footage. So if you'll excuse me now, though, I'm gonna go grab me a beer and a Timmy's, Timmy's holes, and we'll get back to this here after a little while.
This is Crashed While Loading, the fusion of entertainment and information.
Hello there.
Weekly updates and opinions on video games,
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
movies,
I'm about to do to you what Limp Bizkit did to music in the late 90s.
TV shows,
This is the way.
This is the way.
and so much more.
JJ, what do you want to do tonight?
Off. We need to go on a quick adventure. Hello, people on the interwebs. Appreciate you tuning in. Crashed While Loading. This is our 21st episode. Again, with the multiple people personality introductions. It's old habit. I'm Ashton Phoenix. Appreciate you tuning in. Remember, if you're listening to it on the podcast, twitch.tv/crashwhilloading. You can watch it live, interact, and talk. And if you click on the Discord button under the About section there, you can join me during the week and post up articles and things like that. Like our friend of the podcast, Ericus, did by asking me to point out the first Canadian hero in Overwatch 2. And I think I nailed it. And that was all just for Ericus. That's why I do this for you, so that you will listen. I'm just begging for attention, really. That's really all that is. That's pretty much every podcast everywhere, is they just want attention. I mean, I'm no different. Except I'm more humble than all of them put together, because it's the best part about me. So, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully everybody's, dear God in heaven, has electricity, for one, would be good. Texans, looking at you. That was, the solar wind turbines aren't really working out too well for you. Also, that one thing that, I heard there was one plant where you have a big turbine, and they funnel gas into it, which is great, except for the part where the thing that keeps track of the heat so it doesn't, explode, it froze over, so then you couldn't use it, and that caused some electrical issues. And then, of course, there's the people getting, $1,200, $10,000 electric bills because the price of things went wild, but I'm sure that'll get straightened out one way or the other, or you'll just have to get a loan. But, oh, man, I am really glad that is over. And, I don't want to... I explained how global warming works in the last episode with the round thermometers. I don't have to go back into that. If you're curious about that, you can go back. But I also think there's a greater conspiracy at large. And now follow with me here. Everyone's a fan of Frozen. And everyone loves Sub-Zero, right? Okay, so the new Mortal Kombat trailer came out this week for the new movie, which would be weird because if they did it for the old movie, it would be really dated, although I still love the very first one. Annihilation doesn't exist, by the way. I'm just making up a word out of the thin air. If, in fact, they made a Mortal Kombat 2 back in, like, the 90s, I assume they would call it Annihilation. But I wouldn't know because such a movie doesn't exist. No. But, the trailer focused largely, and I think the timing was not great. It focused largely on Sub-Zero. He ripped the arms off of Jax, which is where Jax is going to get his metal arms from. I'm not calling spoiler alerts on trailers. Anybody can see a trailer. Most people do watch trailers, so on you. But, I think they went a little overboard in their promotion by freezing like 40% of the states just to be like, hey, look, Sub-Zero's in this movie. That's pretty cool. You guys want to go see this now, right? Yeah, and then where they have like a hidden scene where I guess Sub-Zero and Elsa go off, get hitched in their honeymoon and big ice explosions. That's what caused this. I have no actual proof, but conspiracy theories these days don't need them. I mean, ever. You can just make whatever you want up off the top of your head, say it's a theory, and that you're conspiring about it, and it's an instant conspiracy theory. It works out just fine for everybody. So, yeah, there's that. That's how this happened. It was all a Mortal Kombat stunt to make you go watch the movie. I don't know, it worked. I'm still excited to see it. I can't wait. My inner, 10-year-old from back in, like, 1995 or whenever that movie came out. I think I was, like, 15 then, but still. I was excited. I couldn't wait to... I'm looking forward to it. It might be the first movie I actually go to the movie theaters to see, especially because I don't think it's coming out at this... Or unless it is coming out at the same time on HBO, which I think it might be, in which case, no, I'm not going to go to the theater because I have an 86-inch TV in the living room, and it's blackout curtains everywhere, and it'll be awesome. So we'll just watch it there. But, no, I'm really excited for that Mortal Kombat movie. That looks like just... it'd be nice to finally get a really good Mortal Kombat thing. I know there's some sort of cartoon out there that they recently did that's supposed to be really violent, but it's also not very good. It looks kind of in the vein of like the DC stuff, and the animation used to be the strongest part of the DC universe, and because we sure know the DC universe live action movies, not so great. They have like 2 hits and 4 or 5 misses, so not the best track record. I will say, though, I actually finished watching the HBO Max, was it the Harley Quinn, which is just 2 seasons, and they're like 12 or 13 episodes a season. I actually dug it. They cuss and like crazy, and it's crazy violent, like, bashing people's skulls in and breaking legs, and the bones are showing, and it's really, really well done. They also, because it's like a limited thing, I suppose there could be another season coming out, but they know it's a cartoon. It's a ultra-violent cartoon. So they do things that you wouldn't typically do in like Batman the Animated Series, or even definitely not the movies. Like, main characters get killed off, like some of the, Harley going up against some of the other villains. Not all of them make it out. Like, they just straight up get killed, and they're done, and they're over with, and that's that. And I forgot to quiet my phone so that I don't get text messages right in the middle of the show. That's something I would probably get on to Jazz for. So thanks a lot, Jazz, for not turning down my phone. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. If you have HBO Max and you're kind of on the fence, or if you haven't actually watched it, I highly recommend it. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I would not watch it with anyone under the age of like 18, and even then, they better be a pretty mature 18. But it's the humor is really fast paced. I love they just quip after quip after quip after quip. Sib actually noticed that one of the characters was Jason Alexander, the old man in the wheelchair, and I was like, I knew that voice was familiar, but I couldn't place it. And of course, one of my favorites is Alan Tudyk, plays Clayface, which you know him as Wash from Firefly, Mr. Weasel from Frozen, as I spoke of earlier. He does all sorts of. He's like actually was it King Candy? It's salmon. It's clearly salmon. That guy. He does all sorts of great stuff, but he was really good. It didn't even sound like him. I honestly, if I hadn't just seen his name pop up in the credits, I would have had no clue it was him. So, well, that was, I didn't actually have that down here, but, we went into it anyway. Let's go over Game Stonks. Still going on. Well, I mean, it's over. But now Washington, D.C. has to pretend like they actually give a shit. Well, they do give a shit because they weren't the ones making money, and neither were their investor and hedge fund friends that lost all that money. So they brought in Keith Gill. He's the Redditor known as Deep Fucking Value, which of course the U on that is starred out. But I think we all know that the star and the asterisk is probably a U, unless it's deep flucking value or deep faking value. It could be faking, and he just misspelled fake, F-A-C-K. Yeah, I mean that works too. But deep fucking value, Keith Gill. So they brought him before a U.S. congressional committee just to make it look like they cared, I guess. It's just, and I didn't see a lot of people mention it, but his setup, I mean, the guy, I think he made, what was it? He made $7.8 million off of this GameStop thing. He rolled pretty good on this. He is one of those ones that came out on top. But they did the whole thing, of course, because of Corona. They did it through, I assume, because we're the U.S. government and we have nearly infinite resources at our disposal. But I assume they probably used Zoom because that's what everybody's using. It works. I mean, that or Discord, which works too. But in the background, he just had it was just kind of a blank wall, and he had a taped up picture of that little kitten that says "Hang in there." it was brilliant. I absolutely loved that. It's a mockery without technically being a mockery, because there's no reason for him to be there, but they were questioning him how it traded as low as $4 and then jumped up to $3.47 in January, and they were going all over all of this. And I mean, this guy has no control over it. He's just one person. He happened to make a lot of it, and he was kind of maybe the head of it, but he didn't do anything that anybody could have done. They used as he said in his testimony, I believe the company was dramatically undervalued by the market. The prevailing analysis about GameStop's impending doom was simply wrong. And he says he based his stock purchases based entirely on publicly available information. And a misconception of GameStop was a failing business. And he quotes, "I grew up playing video games and shopping at GameStop, and I'm looking forward to buying a new console at GameStop." Yeah, see, even $7.8 million is going to make that possible, buddy, because they still don't have them. Although I guess he could afford to be one of those assholes that buy it from the people that buy it and resell it. I just totally blanked on the word. You know who I mean. Those assholes. And he says, ultimately, my GameStop investment was a success. But the thing is, I felt that way in December, far before the peak when the stock was at $20 a share. And he says here, I believe an analysis of GameStop's recent price action must start with a discussion of the exorbitant short interest in the stock, as well as an investigation into and any potentially manipulative shorting prices of the brokers reported failures to timely deliver shares and settle trades, which he's right, because those hedge fund companies, they didn't have to play the ball the same way they could get extensions, they got all sorts of stuff, and they did lose, they lost big, but they're the ones that control this stuff, and he did exactly what they did, only as a private citizen and not as a giant multi-billion-dollar hedge fund, and he got a bunch of other private citizens to jump on board. It's kind of how the game's played. So basically nothing will come of this. I mean, they can't do anything to him because they would have to retroactively write laws, or not that they wouldn't do that, but go after him when they don't go after hedge funds for doing the exact same thing, which doesn't work. I mean, if anybody's really needs to be, hammered to the wall, it would be Robinhood for actually stopping people from trading the stocks the way they're supposed to be able to and selling them. Yeah, so. But, yeah, hopefully, like I said, I think that saga is going to end soon. Scalpers, thank you, that's the word. I don't know, I kept thinking scrippers, and I know that's scrippers, that isn't even a word. It's just a thing. Another happy news for me, at least. Apparently, they're going forward. Konami is with the Silent Hill franchise. It's unconfirmed still, but there's a lot of buzz about this, and it's not. It doesn't get hurt that Akira. I'm just gonna butcher it. Akira Yamaoka, I think, maybe. I'm pronouncing it like an American that doesn't speak Japanese, so Yamaoka. Who is the guy that actually did the original soundtrack for the Silent Hill franchise, and also did recently The Medium, which I still need to play through and finish. He teased something that there was going to be exciting news on a project that he can't talk about yet. And, of course, that got people speculating that it was going to be Silent Hill. And slowly, there's rumors now that they're a studio called Bloober Team. Not Boober Team, like I almost just said, Bloober. There's an L in there, and that makes it a legitimate company. But they've been cranking up, according to... usually what gives it away on these websites is they start to see when they're ramping up production on a game, there's new job postings that are secretive. Like EA will have one like, would you like to work on a new and exciting franchise in a galaxy far, far away? We're not saying it's Star Wars, though. Kind of, just it's dumbass. Just tell people. It's not really that big of a secret. Although I guess there is other things, because according to Nintendo, which we'll get into in a second, they can throw a hissy fit and just cancel the whole damn thing. But no, I'm super excited. Hopefully we'll get a good Silent Hill. The Medium is really, that definitely fills that niche, and I really need to get back to it. But, go for it. I can't wait for something like that. The other thing here is... speaking of Nintendo and why maybe you don't leak something like that, this has been a couple weeks back. This was actually at the beginning of February, but I kind of wanted to circle back to it since Nintendo Direct came out and announced some stuff. But there was reports that, and we've heard it for years, that Netflix was going to make a Legend of Zelda series. It was live action, it was CGI, it was animated. Nobody knew, really. But apparently, just the mere fact, even though it was unsubstantiated, whoever the individual was, they can't even verify if it was a person at Netflix that did it, blah, 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 blah. But supposedly, Nintendo being Nintendo, they got really upset that even that was coming out, and now the rumor is that they pulled all work on this series, because they were supposed to do Legend of Zelda, and there was one for Star Fox in the works, which is, of all their brands to turn into a series, that one seems like it would be the lower tier, kind of like in the MCU. Started with Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and now you're getting into And then you got into Iron Fist and Jessica Jones. He's in the that's in the lower. Star Fox is definitely in the Jessica Jones, Iron Fist kind of area of that in the MCU terms. But yeah, Zelda is, I mean, how long? We got that one we got that one really crappy show that went along with the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. And it was every Friday on that one. So there's only a handful of episodes. And you've also got Link doing a Steve Martin impression with the "Excuse me, princess." It's not good. I mean, I loved it growing up as a kid, but it's really bad. And the animation doesn't. It just nothing of that show holds up at all. But like a petulant child, Nintendo they just apparently, supposedly, they've pulled the plug. And I would not be surprised. That's exactly the kind of thing Nintendo does. Nintendo doesn't play around with stuff like that. They are, and they should be, extremely protective of their properties, but maybe lighten up a little bit, because it's not like it's the entire studio's fault or your fans' fault that something that everyone is going to be super excited for kind of leaked out into the public sphere. It just happens that way, and throwing a fit about it sure isn't going to win you any, rewards or love or bonus points. It really makes them kind of look like a kid in the schoolyard, like, fine, I'm taking my ball, and you're a dookie head, and I'm taking my master sword, and I'm going home, and you can't play with it anymore. It's that kid. They're that kid on the field that, somebody bumped into them or they scraped their knee and they're crying bloody murder, even though everybody fell down and they were picked last in dodgeball and didn't get through the Red Rover arms. They're being that kid. They're being whiny. And then at the same time, they also announced the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD version coming to Switch. And now I like them again, so I'm over it. But I never got to play Skyward Sword. It came out on was it the Wii? Yeah, it was a Wii game originally. And I wasn't a huge fan of like a lot of the mechanics and stuff they use, which is why I'm glad you can still use the Joy-Cons instead of the Wiimotes or the nunchuck that it was originally. But you're slashing and things like that, and I don't know. It was such a kind of a gimmicky thing. I never really got into it. They have redone it with you can still use the Joy-Cons and slash it, and I will probably try that. But they also switched it over to the remote so that I think it's probably the right thumbstick. You could just move that up, down, left, right, side to side, and that will now swing his sword instead of a button. But I guess it's a main mechanic in the gameplay that the characters will block in certain directions, so then you have to, come out from the other one or go below their shields and things like that. But it looked really nice. I mean, it looked like a Zelda-ass game, just updated. No, the one bummer kind of thing was we still have absolutely no word on Breath of the Wild 2. I don't. They've announced that now almost 3 years ago, and I'm still. Sorry, I had to take a drink. Still holding with the fact that more than likely, when they do announce it, which I maybe the next Nintendo Direct, it'll be one of those where they make the big announcement. It'll be one of those things where it's like, and it's out in 4 months. This, for example, this is out July 16th. They just announced it. We've got April, May, June, about 4 months, give or take. Actually, it's exactly what I said. That's kind of how Nintendo's been doing their stuff lately. They don't like a big lead up to it. They don't want to overhype things or let that hype get way up there and then sort of start to fizzle out, or if delays happen and things like that. Because if 4 months out, if for some reason they have to delay the Switch, it's a remake. Or not a remake, a remaster. I highly doubt they're going to have to do that. If they did, they wouldn't have announced it That's one of the other benefits of having something come out 4 months from now. You pretty much know your schedule, unless you're CD Projekt Red, and then in which case you just keep pushing it out a year and you still release what you released. Still not upset. Still a little. I still haven't quite forgiven them. I love that company, but yeah, still haven't forgiven them. Also, Splatoon 2 coming in 2022. I never got into the Splatoon games, or not Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3. I'm literally looking right here at where it's written Splatoon 3. But then there's like 3 2s after that in 2022, so it turned into Splatoon 2. I don't know. I'm a product of the public education system. If you want an explanation, you're gonna, have to go way back. It's it's just how things are. Yeah. So it's also up for pre-order, and so you can pre-order it. I personally probably just get the digital version of that. I don't know. I might get the physical thing. I mean, the little cartridges are so small, I actually worry more. I know they made them taste bad, but with a little Rugrat running around, I worry about him now. And also, they're really easy to lose. You drop one of those things, you could lose it in your damn carpet. So in other news here, and this one, I think, since I think Jazz is still listening.
Good news, everyone!
New World's been postponed again. Remember last week when I talked about Amazon Games Studio being just a dumpster fire of bad management and, the kind of setup they've got there? Apparently that's continuing. They're just letting this Mike Frazinski, or Frazzini, I think, doesn't really matter. Nobody knows who he is anyway. I didn't until that. And Jess says her New World Discord channel shut down. Well, why? I mean, they've only canceled every game they've ever made, ever, except for New World. I think they're up to 6 now. So, I mean, it's just perfectly, I'm sure it's going to come out, and I'm sure it's going to be a rousing success in the MMO genre of things. I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep a straight face. Yeah, I know, it's going to be awful. It's just going to, I don't know how they're going to screw this up, but I know they are. There's as much time as they're now putting into it after the fact. I mean, it's gone through several revamps. I mean, I talked last week. I still keep saying we. There's just myself. Talked last week how the original thing actually was something I jokingly referred to as, just going around and killing a bunch of Indians in the New World. That was actually a thing for a while. So, I mean, already you started off at ground, the sub-basement of really good common sense in game making. And now that I think about it, for a guy that's all about analytics and using information and data to make things, I don't know if he's seen any, statistics and things like that on how people feel about genocide. But typically, outside of a bunch of guys that wear armbands with little swastikas on their arm, it's kind of negative. It's really not a positive light in which we look at genocide. Or, your China. In which case, they're like, gee. It's all right. Winnie the Pooh. Now I'm off all China. Anything in China, just cut me off right there. All you got to say is Winnie the Pooh, and it's done. Oh, also Taiwan. So now I don't have to worry about the Chinese audience. All 2 of them. It's a thing. Don't worry about it. We're very popular all over the world. Like 2 kids in Idaho, and I think my mom listens, that kind of thing. But yeah, so they, I don't know. They say they're, let me click on here, get the, that was one thing, yeah, because they got a new CEO, and what's his face, Bezos stepped down. And the new guy's like, yeah, we're still dedicated to making AAA games. Really? Are you? Because you should probably work on just getting the one AAA game out before you say you're dedicated to making multiples. One. Just focus on one. Even though they've got Lord of the Rings in the wind online, working by another company. One is all we're asking for. Just one. It's not that hard. I mean, have you looked at Valheim Online lately? I don't know if anyone has heard of that game in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, it's only sold 3 million copies, made by a tiny, I think, Swedish studio. I have the story. I have to bring it up later. But, yeah, does pretty good. One. Just one. That's all you need. So, they've delayed it. They're saying August of 2021. I think that would officially put it at damn near a year of being pushed back. And don't get me wrong, games do need to be delayed. Some of them, obviously. I mean, again, CD Projekt Red, Anthem was another one. There's lots of games that come out because they're pressured to bring them out early. And given Amazon has the money to do it right, but will they? I mean, doesn't seem like it. I'm still hopeful. I can't. Oh, Jesus, what was the last big MMO? I think maybe Black Desert Online of that kind of caliber, like a AAA kind of studio, and that's been out for like 3 years now, minimum, if not longer. I know there's a whole bunch of Chinese ones from Tencent. Of course, Tencent's buying up properties in damn near every video game company, trying to get major stakes in all of it. But that's another thing. You actually need to do a thing on Tencent and why they're kind of a danger to video games. It's one. They're kind of the Amazon, Google, and Microsoft of Chinese game buying into thingy-majiggers. That's, of course, the technical video game term. But, yeah, they just claim they're still working on it, trying to make it work without a hitch, blah, blah, blah. The usual stuff that people say when you're screwing your game up day after day after day after day after day. Another one, too, real quick. This one's actually just kind of a warning for anybody that's out there looking forward to Far Cry 6. This is kind of a new one, but it got pushed back, which, again, fine. Although I have a lot more faith in Far Cry 6 on account of the previous 5 successful video games. They'll do fine. Also, probably COVID had something to do with it. But yeah, it got pushed back. I don't know when, but it was supposed to release right around now. And because of that, there's a scam going around that's offering people to get into the beta. And it sends them a link. And, of course, that link is no good. But this comes from the Rad Brad, which I think he's the CEO of the company that makes that, TRB Productions. He says, just a heads up to all content creators. Don't worry, this isn't me. I don't even register on these lists yet, ever. There's an email from the official @Ubisoft address going around that claims beta access to Far Cry 6. It even has an embargo with a special password to access. The virus watches your screen and records everything you do. Be safe. So you click on the link, it puts in a Trojan horse, and then just sends all your information, everything you type in, back to the assholes that came up with this, which it's a very small group of people that they're probably going to get with this, but everybody they get is beneficial. So if you're looking into Far Cry 6 beta and you get an email address, probably don't trust it, I would say. Just go to their website and see if they're putting it out, because apparently I don't think they're actually putting out they're not putting out beta codes right now, because boy, would that be. Yeah, because currently there's no beta going on right now in Far Cry 6, so we'll all have to wait and see what Ubisoft will be revealing more and the game's players publicly. So there's no beta, and if they started one now, boy, would that be confusing. That'd be just a bad idea. So don't. I mean, it's just a good rule of thumb. Don't click on shit in your email ever. It's a bad idea at all times. So going on to Valheim, I don't think I've seen it's. There's been a few real breakout games lately that follow in this vein. Among Us was one. Fallout Guys. That'd be a totally different game. Fall Guys. Hades was another one that everybody exploded up over. But this Valheim really seems to have hit a sweet spot. And I personally, I'm still kind of on the fence. I don't like I think I've been over that. I don't like the resource gathering, like Minecraft, the shitty EverQuest landmark. Just anything where you have to gather all sorts of resources, then you build up the next best axe or rake or, I don't know, snowplow, and then you use that to find resources to build the next best rake, axe, or snowplow in buildings and stuff like that. I never like that loop very much. I don't find it very enjoyable, but supposedly in this one, a lot of people that are in the same kind of boat as me are actually really totally digging on this game. And at the intro of $20 on Steam, it's not too steep of a price to get. And I've heard from basically everybody, everything I've seen. I've read through the reviews on Steam. I've seen articles like this one. Excuse me. As I belch into the mic. Like a gentleman.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
It's okay. But, yeah, it's doing really well. Sold 3 million copies so far, and I think it was released on the 2nd or something like that. Yeah, which is really not bad at all for a game. 20. I don't know. I wouldn't scoff at $20 times 3 million. $60 million if my math is accurate, which of course it is because I'm better than you. But yeah, it's breaking all. I love their Coffee Stain Publishing and Iron Gate Studio. Coffee Stain Publishing, by the way, best publishing company name ever. I know it's SIB approved just because it has coffee in it. She likes to drink coffee. She's a coffee person. Yep, 3 million copies in about 16 days, and it's only an early access game, but unlike a lot of early access games, it feels like a finished product, is what I'm hearing. And I think they said it's still got some 25-50% of the game to be added in, so even what you're playing now is not what it will be in the future, and already people are loving it. I mean, I've seen people talk building bridges, although it does have some limitations. You can't put like pylons and things down in the water yet. You can't swim down and build up from there. And there's certain things it still can't do, and there's a lot of tips and tricks and things like that. I mean, if you go to YouTube and if you looked up anything gaming in the last decade, you're probably going to see at least one video of like top 10 tricks Valheim doesn't tell you that you need to know when you first start. Smash that like button and subscribe and ring that bell to get notifications. I don't know if people know this. You can't actually smash a subscribe button. It's just a click. It's a mouse button. It's just a button. I mean, you can smash your mouse button, but I would highly advise against that because they're kind of fragile and delicate little things. I mean, you wouldn't smash an actual mouse, would you? You murdering sociopath. Of course you wouldn't. So don't do it to the electronic ones. PETA will get involved. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Valheim. I think I'm probably going to end up having to get it just to try it out at the very least. At $20, if I get 10 hours into it. It's $2 an hour. It's better than the price of a movie. Okay, so for those of you that don't remember, movies are a thing where you used to go to a theater filled with seats, usually raised by tiers, and there was a giant 2 to 3 story screen up and down in width and height that you would then watch moving pictures on, and sound would blast out from behind curtains on all sides, and you would typically have overpriced popcorn and large drinks that gave everybody diabetes. That's called a movie theater. It's where we used to watch movies back in the before times. We don't do that anymore. So it's just, I don't know. I'm happy for the company. That's for sure. This kind of success very rarely happens for indies, especially out of nowhere, seemingly. Like, what was it? Like both Fall Guys and Among Us kind of came about because, especially Among Us, because some big YouTuber kind of found it, played it, or was YouTuber or Twitch streamer, one of the two. They're interchangeable at this point. Got it, and it just blew up from there. And of course now it's it's mobile, it's everywhere. Kids, my nephews play it like crazy with their mom on top of that because they could just use their phones and they can all play together, and it's a lot of fun. Apparently, their mom is extremely vicious at it. Just go around lopping their kids' heads off and in the game. So, yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward. I'm kind of starting to look forward to it. The more I see on it, the more I'm like, yeah, oh, shit. I'm gonna have to probably try that so I can actually know. Like, I've tried Fortnite. I don't like it. I mean, I understand it. I just don't care for it, but I've tried it. Overwatch, I like Overwatch, which we'll get to here in a bit. Moving on, though, this one was a little strange. A lot of people know about Epic Games and Apple's lawsuit against each other because, well, Fortnite, actually. Fortnite, Epic tried to put in a way around Apple's ecosystem to get around the 30%. They knew they were breaking the rules, the contract that they had agreed to, and Apple removed it, which of course Epic knew was going to happen because within that same day they already had a pre-done cinematic trailer of the old making fun of Apple as the old 1984 breaking of the screen with a whole audience of people mesmerized and dumbed down and blah blah blah. So if you don't know about it, at this point, I mean, it's still going on. But apparently, Apple went to Valve, who, by the way, not involved in this. Epic Games has their own Steam-like portal where you play on PCs, where you play the game. So Valve doesn't actually have Fortnite to download because it's an exclusive to Epic, which would make sense. Yet for some reason, Apple is going to Valve and Steam to get their data. They want Valve's data to try to help prove their case against Epic. Apple here says Epic's various mobile and non-mobile distribution options are essential to disputed issues of market definition and market power. So, I don't know. It seems, honestly, it seems even shadier to me because Apple and Valve also are competitors. I mean, some Apple games and things might end up on Valve, and I think Valve and some Steam stuff is probably on Apple. But the Apple Store and Valve, they're kind of competitors in a lot of ways. They're not on the same side. They don't share a lot. Their Venn diagram does not overlap a whole lot. It's like at the very tippity edge, like just the tips are just barely touching each other. They just barely overlap. What? So they're asking for this, and of course Valve is like, yeah, that's a lot of work because what they're asking for is let's see here. Valve is arguing that it would be a, quote, overwhelming amount of work to produce even one of the items as I'm reading here off IGN, as part of the data request, pointing to one of Apple's specific requests, which asked Valve to identify the date of sale plus every price change of 436 games that are both on the Epic Game Store and Steam. So they want to show they're going after the data for Valve because obviously Epic Games isn't going to tell them. So they want all 436 games that both services have. They want all that data from Valve from 2015 to present day. So 6 years worth of data for 436 games. At every time the prices changed, how many of them were bought and sold, how many, all of that data. That is a lot of data. And I don't know if anybody knows this. Valve is extremely lazy lately on pretty much doing anything. I mean, we got the Half-Life Alyx 3D thing. People have been waiting for Half-Life for over a decade now. So they're a little on the, we don't really have a horse in this race. Screw you. But ultimately, Valve says Apple's overboard demands impose too heavy a burden on a non-party, and that the company has not shown a substantial need for the information it wants. And yeah, I mean, why would Valve, who is not involved in this lawsuit whatsoever, be required to put resources into finding all this data, correlating it, getting it all, put together in a readable fashion, going through all 436 games for 6 years? That's 436 games over 6 years. That's got to be millions upon millions of transactions. And then you put in how when the price went on sale for that's six Black Fridays and I don't know, President's Day, and I don't know what's another really great holiday. National Ice Cream Day. I think things go on sale for National Ice Cream Day because we all love ice cream. That's just clearly what would happen for National Ice Cream Day. It's a national holiday. National Ice Cream Day. It's in there. I don't know why we don't get off for it, but we should. I promise if elected president, there will be free chocolate chunky monkey in every house, in every garage, in every city, in every state. So I can be president. I can do this. But yeah, it's I don't know where it's some pretty big balls on Apple actually to go on here. It says Fortnite is not available on Steam, which I said, and Epic has publicly and unequivocally stated it will not offer Fortnite on Steam unless Valve changes its business model. Because Valve, similar to Apple, has a similar business model where they take like 30% when you put it on Valve. But Steam is so big, most companies, that's what that's why Amazon Games, when they told people we want to make our own ecosystem and not put it on Steam, and the people within the company were like, yeah, that's fucking stupid. You just don't want money then. But Epic Games has the money due to Fortnite that they actually can get away with that, and technically so does Amazon. But unlike Amazon, Epic has games that are exclusive that they can put on their platform that will make people download it. Not everyone, because some people hate it. But some people hate everything regardless of whether it is. Like Epic gives you free games, it's like 2 free games a month, and you don't even have to sign up for a service, and people still bitch about it. And they're not crappy games. They're like legitimately good games, like some of the Far Cry series and things like that. Why wouldn't you? It's like someone giving away free tacos and be like, how dare you make Mexican food and give it away for free? It's cultural appropriation. I won't have it. I won't stay. Tacos? Wait, with cheese? Oh, never mind. My morals mean absolutely nothing. I really wasn't just kind of standing on this hill just because I like to be outraged, but I didn't know tacos were involved. That's kind of how it goes. To continue on here before we wrap up on that, Valve's somehow in a dispute over mobile apps. A maker of PC games that does not compete in the mobile market or sell, quote, apps is being portrayed as a key figure. It's not. The extensive and highly confidential information Apple demands about a subset of the PC games available on Steam does not show the size or parameters of the relevant market, and would be massively burdensome to pull together. Apple's demands for further production should be rejected. Kind of on Valve's side on this. Doesn't happen a lot, but against Apple and Epic, yeah, Valve's actually in the right on this one. So I don't think they should be made. Sorry, I had to wet the whistle. They should be made to do that. It just does not seem like that makes a whole lot of sense at all. That's not what I wanted to do on the screen. There we go. So moving on, last but not least, BlizzCon 2021. Of course, we had the earlier special announcement about Sojourn, the first Canadian hero, and her poutine throwing skills, as well as throwing hot cups of Timmy Hortons as a special, and apologizing after every kill. That, of course, is exactly what Eric has wanted me to mention, and why I, of course, as host of this show, was happy to oblige, because that's what I do. I give others until it hurts. Others. Wait, I give to others. I give to others until it hurts others. Yeah. It's kind of my saying around Christmas. Yeah. Give until it hurts other people. I don't know how. Just, I don't want to. I'm not a fan of pain. But no, they had a lot of really cool stuff. It marked the 30th anniversary of Blizzard, which is actually really cool. Most people were like, wow, there was something before World of Warcraft? There was. There was actually quite a bit. I don't know if a lot of people knew this. World of Warcraft, the Warcraft part of that was a game before the world of it came out. Yeah. I don't think they've really released a whole lot of stuff, since then, on account of World of Warcraft's success. Kind of like how Epic Games got Fortnite, and they're like, we're good. We don't really have to try that hard anymore. But no, there was a lot of really cool announcements. Of course, Overwatch 2, which we knew of, but they've released a lot of stuff. One of the really cool things, and I had forgotten, excuse me, I keep trying to hiccup. I'd forgotten Blizzard actually made some of these games. There's a Blizzard Arcade connection. Are you looking for hot video game singles in your area? Call Blizzard Arcade Connection now. But the Blizzard Arcade Collection, very big difference, announced with enhanced version of, let's see, what were the games? Lost Vikings was one, Blackthorn, and Rock and Roll Racing's, and it's just those three. I don't know why there was more than those three. I knew there were only three. I remember Lost Vikings and Blackthorn. I played those back in the day. I had not realized, I didn't pay attention to video games that close. I just played them back, when I was a kid. A company made this? I thought they just appeared out of nowhere, from the imagination of kids and their ability to wish and fairies and Eskimos. But those two I played, and they're really good games. I don't even remember Rock and Roll Racing, but just the footage, that looks pretty good. I kind of wish I had seen that back in the day. But they're doing a lot of the changes are different for every one of them. Lost Vikings, the original release was originally released on various different consoles. So this definitive edition, they've got extra stages, there's cutscenes, and there's support for three local co-op players. So you have three people playing at once, and these are coming out on the main consoles. Don't remember if they said PC here. Yep, on PC via Battle.net. So that's cool. It seemed weird that they would leave that out. It's going to be $19.99, $20, but it's going to be on PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch online stores. This seems like a collection that would be perfect for Nintendo Switch. It really does. Just play these old arcade games on the go. They've got a lot of the great features that Nintendo has been putting into their Nintendo SNES and NES games, where you can pause it, you can do a rewind function. So if you get smashed, you can just go back and do it again. Keeps you from having to use all your lives. But I love it when I kind of like this nostalgia thing that a lot of these companies are on. I didn't realize Blizz Blizzard had these in their pocket, and yeah, and even I'm looking at the Rock and Roll Racing. It was, oh, it says Interplay. I guess there must have been the different company back then. Maybe that's why, because I know Interplay. I remember them back in the day, but that must have. I don't know Blizzard real well outside of World of Warcraft and things like that. I don't know a lot of their past history like I know with other companies. But I don't remember that box art or anything, and it was back on the Super Nintendo. So yeah, I don't know. It just that must have been one that fell under my radar. I never caught my eye when I was walking through the aisles of, well, this will age me, Blockbuster, and just never caught my eye. So the other thing they announced, World of Warcraft Shadowlands, patch 9.1, Chains of Domination. Wow, kinky. Is announced. This as for you. Eric is, as far as I know, is probably one of the few World of Warcraft guys out there. Bring players to a new location called Korthia. I don't know. And neither do they. They just make up. Sometimes I wonder with these names if they just like have somebody's cat walk on the keyboard and be like, oh yeah, Korthia. That'll work. That's our next zone. Everyone, Korthia is the next zone. Mittens has spoken. New location, new quest, 10 new boss raid, 10 boss raid. I assume 10 people, and an ace boss mega dungeon and more. Because it's not 10 new boss raids. That'd be a lot, but 10 people boss raid, that'd be about right. Then they're on the classic World of War Classic. They've slowly been kind of like EverQuest 1 and now EverQuest 2 has done when they did their retro servers. The Burning Crusade Classic expansion is announced. That's coming. Increase the level cap to 70, 2 new races, flying mounts, and more. That's coming in later this year. I guess it was leaked, but so people that are playing that, I love that they do that, but man, it is really hard to go back to a game and just replay all that same content again as if it came out when it did, like 5-10 years ago. It's a weird deal, but man, it makes money, so that's why they're gonna keep doing it. Hearthstone, it's a card game. It's got an expansion coming out, Forged in Barrens. I don't like card games, so I mean, if you're into that, more power to you. I mean, Diablo 4, they announced the Rogue class, which not gonna play it. I hate to say it. I am not a fan. I've never been a fan of Diablo or any of the only one I've ever liked was Hades. And that's a totally different type of game than like Diablo and stuff like that. Those over-the-top, isometric kind of games, I've just never, no matter, I've tried them over and over and over again. I even got one of them, I think it was maybe Diablo 3 on the Switch because it's, easy and on the go. And even then, I played through it and I got, I don't know, 6-7 hours into it, and it's fine. I just don't enjoy that kind of gameplay. I don't know why, but the Rogue class trailer was pretty badass. The rogue chick coming into the church and leaving ears on the bench behind the cleric or the priest, or shows you what I know about Diablo, which is, other than the Diablo means devil, not a whole lot. Yes, and Hellcat here in the chat, they enjoy playing the Rogue class, and the Rogue class is fine. It's the games themselves I don't. But the trailer was awesome. Of all the classes, the Rogue one actually did look pretty cool, but they all look good, when it's being played by the professionals that make the game, and they're able to cut and paste what they want into it. But the trailer leaving the ears on there, it's a cinematic trailer, so of course it looks good. And then the priest giving her the next guy to kill, and he opens up the thing at the end, and it reveals there's just a shit ton of dozens of ears that he's just been sending her out to kill people that are, I would assume, probably a hindrance to the church, or just people that, like I would do if I had a secret assassin in my pocket, anybody that fucks up my order at McDonald's. I mean, I asked for a 10-piece nugget. not a 9-piece. I want my nug. And I'm sorry, but you forget that nug, you forfeit your life. At least if I have a rogue assassin in my back pocket to send after you and bring your ears back to me. Now, if you give me 11 nugs, you're good. Everything's fine. I miss nugs. I'm on a diet. And it works, which is pissing me off because I really wanted it to not work. That way I wouldn't have to stay on it. But when I'm down like 20 pounds now in 2 weeks, and I don't feel like shit, and I'm constantly starving like a lot of diets make you do, yeah, it kind of pisses me off. I really wish it didn't work just so I could have a nug. But no, I can't because the damn thing's working. And it's doing fine. And Sib's all proud of me and stuff, and that feels good. And I'm proud of me because I haven't cheated yet. I haven't had any drinks. I haven't had any fast food in 2 weeks, which I think is the longest I've ever gone, at least on fast food, since the age of 1.5, probably. I would assume it's probably been that long. And that was only because I wasn't allowed to eat it yet. And as soon as I had one of those delicious golden fries in my mouth, I was sold. And also, that was back when chicken nuggets had dark meat in them, and they were extra tasty. Now it's all white meat. Technically, that should be healthy, but it's got breading, so I still can't have it. Anyway, Diablo 2 Resurrected was announced. It's just a remake of Diablo 2. It's going to be on, all the consoles, new ones, old ones, Nintendo Switch, PC. If you like Diablo, you know what Diablo 2 is. You've kind of got that one at this point. There was a whole lot of news on Overwatch 2. I'm not going over all of it because it's like an insane amount. They're making it's really a weird thing because when they usually when you do these games, you go from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2. It's a fresh start. Like you'll have like going from one Mortal Kombat to another. You have some characters that reoccur. They're updated. The mechanics change, things like that. But it's all new. It's totally different levels than the last one. Totally different characters. A few of them return, but a few of them aren't, and some of them are new, and some of them aren't. And blah blah blah. You know how sequels in video games work. Overwatch 2 is doing way different. It's almost like an extreme, going from Overwatch 1.0 to a 2.0. Because all of the stuff that's currently in Overwatch, I have to make dinner. So I'm going to wrap that. I'm actually close to the end now, so I'm going to wrap it up soon anyway. They're leaving all the characters in. Like, all the characters that are currently out in Overwatch are back. And they look very similar, but they're going to update all the graphics. They're going to update the looks of all the levels. All the levels are still in there. They're just going to update that. I'd imagine they'll make a few tweaks here and there. Of course, they're going to add 2 new ones. The first 2 announced were Rome and New York, and they look really good. I don't know exactly how the Rome one looks like. It's just a it's in Rome. It's got the Colosseum in the back, but it clearly is not like a modern day Rome. It's very stylized, as is all of the things in Overwatch. But it looks badass. They're adding some that are insanely big. We don't know the mission types that will be there. Toronto. You've already got your one Canadian hero. Eric, you're not getting Toronto. It's bad enough we have to film all the Matrix films there, because everything here in the States is ridiculously expensive to film in a major city, and it's just not worth it. But apparently you guys will just be like, yeah, sure, fly a helicopter between our buildings. It's all good. Which we thank you for, because the Matrix was good. But still, Toronto. But, Rome and New York, the New York ones, apparently it's like it says here, 1920s Art Deco style with a lot of the sci-fi elements, because it's just the way Overwatch looks. It's a lot of old with new mixed into it. It looks cool. We don't know exactly what kind of what game modes and things are going to be on there. Excuse me. But any new map is a good map. another new map. Oh, great. So I didn't. They don't have that listed on here. So they have Toronto coming to Overwatch 2. Well, now I'm not getting it. Now we get one Canadian and one Toronto. Next thing you know, they're going to let their geese fly over the American border and bite and shit all over our... Oh, wait, that already happened. Yeah. Yes, and they've got 2 new characters coming at least. So far, the only one they've shown off is Sojourn, which she does look pretty badass. She's got the, like, white hair, dreadlocks, kind of a thing. Like, short, not like the crappy healer guy that wears the roller skates. I don't know. I don't care for that character design. I hate anything with roller blades for some reason. It irritates me. And also he's, green. But no, they're making a whole lot of changes to everything. Sojourn looks cool, but the way they're doing tank character, I mean, all of it, there really is a sequel. It's just such a weird way, and it's a cool way to do it, but it's such a weird way to make a sequel where you're bringing everything that was in the first game back, just redone, and then you're going to revamp the entire system, the way tanks work, the way DPS works, the way support works, how a lot of the guns and stuff like that are going to fire and feel. They were really they were oddly extremely proud of the gun sounds coming up in this one in the way that they echo depending on the chamber or room or open space that you're in. They at least watching it, they seemed to focus a really long time on that, which I thought was weird. But I mean, I guess they put a lot of time into it. You'd be proud of it too. I wouldn't know. I put a lot of time into this, but it is what it is. Can't help it. There's hero missions. That was it. It's like I knew I couldn't get the word out. There's a hero missions mode, replayable co-op PvP mode, which have been designed to entice new players who might be less interested in competitive play. Which is kind of cool. I mean, which is weird that they call it co-op PvP mode when you're actually fighting NPCs and stuff, and then for those less interested in competitive play. That's a little weird. It's not technically, I mean, it's competitive still, but it's not really a PvP mode if you're working with people. It's co-op kind of it's player versus player. It means that you're fighting other people. That's just the normal game. If it's a co-op, it's PV. Maybe they meant PvE mode. They just get so used to typing PvP. But, it looks cool. It gives you a way to actually level the character and level yourself outside of just PvP matches and things like that, which is probably not a bad thing. They're going to have a lot of story elements, and watching the video on it, I don't know if they have it here. Let's see here. It doesn't say exactly, but I remember the video itself said they are coming up with hundreds of unique and special, crafted missions for this thing. So it's not just like it's not like an MMO where you do the same dozen fetch quests, but instead of, a rat, it's a dire rat. Instead of a dire rat, it's a wolf. Instead of a wolf, it's a dire wolf. Instead of a dire wolf, it's a bear. Instead of a bear, it's a dire bear. Instead of a dire bear, it's a werewolf. That kind of thing. But you're still basically just killing the same thing, with a couple whacks and you're done. One of the cool things, too, was the dynamic weather conditions I saw in this, which can change in the middle of map. There were sandstorms, snowstorms, and rain. The sandstorms would obviously limit visibility by a lot, so characters that can actually see the outline of other characters with their specials would be very useful in that. The snowstorm thing was cool because it actually did a thing we've been promised in video games for over a decade now, in that as it snowed and continued, it would build up. Something I think 40 states in the U.S. and has gotten a really good indication of how quickly that can happen. And it actually changes the topography of the level as it goes. And there, of course, there's rain, which I don't know, just adds reflections to everything. Rain doesn't. I don't know. A lot of PvP games, especially first-person ones, when it's raining, it makes absolutely no difference to me whatsoever. I don't even pay attention to it. I don't notice that. So that's actually cool. They actually have the campaign. A campaign centers on members of Overwatch being brought back together to work out who's behind a second Omnic uprising. That being, I would assume, the big bad guy. I only played the PvP. I don't actually know the story for Overwatch. I love the cinematics. They're freaking badass, but I don't know much about the story other than the guy with the giant robo fist was a big bad guy, and then he was playable. And turns out he was exactly the same as all the other characters in one way, shape, or form, just with different powers. He wasn't as overpowered as they made him out to be initially, which is disappointing. If you're going to put a boss in there, he should dominate every round, period. That's just how it should work. Yeah, that's exactly it. They compose music themes for every playable hero and every location, which is really cool. They're putting a lot of work. I mean, that's kind of what you expect from Blizzard at this point. There's, like I said, there it is, the Toronto map. Will place the Toronto map. Will place. Who wrote this thing on IGN? They need to really learn. The Toronto map will place during a null sector siege. Will take place. That's what they meant. Take place during a sandstorm, which will see snowstorm, which will be snow build up steadily as you progress through the level. Footage shows escaping friends, NPCs, implying it won't just be Overwatch versus enemies on these maps. So these are all like the single player and the campaign things like that. So that's really cool. I'm really glad they're doing it. Hero progression's going through a lot of changes. They're messing around with the skill trees and things like that. There's going to be a lot of tweaks. I mean, they're changing the way tanks and shield tanks and all sorts of stuff is done. They're updating the heroes' looks. They're doing all sorts of stuff with the facial animations, which is really cool and all great. I know I saw a couple people who were like, I liked the old one. Yeah, well, then you're an idiot because the new one clearly looks better. It just has more. There's more points of articulation in the face and the mouth so they can get more emotion out of it. And that's never a bad thing. Let them do their thing. Blizzard knows how to make a good game. Short of recently, which was just dumb on their part, was it the Warcraft Reforged thing that they didn't deliver what they promised on. They really don't drop the ball on a lot of things. You can say what you want about all the expansions in World of Warcraft, but not everybody loves everything. It's the internet. That's just how it happens. But for the most part, they are wildly successful every time, and somehow, unlike Final Fantasy XIV or ESO, they do manage to revamp the system enough each time that it seems to keep players coming back. Maybe they're not at the 14, 15 million they were at the highlight, but they're still several millions ahead of their nearest competitors. So, while it's not a game for me, you can't bash Blizzard on their ability to make an expansion or a sequel in this case. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna day one. I'll throw $60 at Blizzard to be able to play the new one. I don't know. I played the first one for I don't even know how many hours. I'm actually curious now. Oh, but I'd probably have to update everything, and I'm not going to do that on the show because that would probably actually interfere with the, stream to download something in the middle of it. But I definitely got my money's worth, and I honestly, watching this kind of makes me want to go back and play it a little bit more just to see how things have changed since the last time I loaded it up. But yeah, looks good. Can't wait. $60 or unless they do the PS4, we're gonna make everything $70 now. Don't. Just leave it at 60. It's perfectly fine. Trust me, Blizzard will make plenty of money. Because that's actually, you know what? That's one thing I don't remember seeing in here on all that coverage was anything about the loot crates, oddly enough. I would assume that they're still going to be there because that is how they really, really make their money on this. yeah, but I don't know. There wasn't really any mention of that, probably because they're just going to do it, and there's really no reason to announce that they're going to do it because that would be the main focus, and everybody would get all upset about that. And I have, well, as long as it's cosmetic like Overwatch does, I'm I give a shit far less about loot crates when it's cosmetic. It doesn't affect the gameplay. It's just how you look. It's a status thing. It's like having it in Fortnite, although that one gets it for little kids, which is a little more egregious. Apex Legends, same thing. Nothing really changes it. It's not like Black Desert Online or something like that, where some of that stuff actually physically changes, gives you a bonus and things like that. Not a fan of those, but if you have the disposable income, what you do with it is up to you. So I can't mark them for that. It's just when it gets gross that things get nasty. But yeah, that'll about do it, I think, for today. Click on that. There we go. So yeah, that's all. So thanks for listening. Remember, twitch.tv/crashwhilloading. Subscribe, follow, whatever it is. I don't remember which one's which. Click on the About section. Click on the Discord link. Join us there throughout the week. Put anything up. There's articles, things you find interesting, even if it's just funny, things like that. Feel free. I'll probably put it in the show if it's actually an interesting article, and then talk about it. Let's see here, and that's about covers it. So let's just see.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Right? Thank you. I know you are. You have to be. So anyway, I'm Asher Phoenix. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week. Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his latest in video game rock covers and original music.